remember, to get on the trail, you need to get to the trail. This trailer is a 2015 16-foot flat deck from LWL, and there's many other trailers that look exactly like this. In this province of Nova Scotia, our government needs more and more money, so this has what they call a biannual inspection. It used to be a yearly inspection, now it's a biannual inspection, which means it goes to a mechanic, and if they don't deem it to be road safe, they'll give you a rejection sticker, and then all of a sudden you can't haul your trailer, and the same goes for your vehicles. Trucks, cars, trailers, motorcycles, all except for bicycles. So, statistically proven, the safety inspection does almost this when it comes to road safety. Small percentage. Very, very, very small percentage. But if your vehicle is at that point, yeah, I would hope to think that, or think to hope, one of those two, that you would be noticing that your wheels are falling off. Anyway, I neglected this trailer. Don't do what I did. I've completely neglected this trailer. 2015, I haven't done anything to it. I maybe put on a set of brake pads a couple years ago. I can't even remember. The chickens are screaming. So, what have I got going on here? I have, in the Equalizer for the suspension, I have bushings shot. Equalizer wallowed. Tires scalloped. Jack stands seized. Well, not anymore. I've already taken care of it. I took all apart. I took all the jack stands apart. This thing has 3 jack stands on it. It's got 2 stabilizers in the back, and then it's got the one up front. Okay, so anyway, let's cut to the chase. What we need to do is we need to replace a bunch of components on here. So, not only that, a lot of inspectors, when they take your trailer in for inspection, pull the brakes, which means the hubs have to come off, which means I haven't had these off for several years, which means I'm going to have to, well, maybe not replace them, I don't know. I'm going to have to clean them up and inspect them and make sure they're in spec. I'm going to have to readjust the brakes. But before I do that, I need to take care of the suspension. If you're unfamiliar, or if you have a tandem trailer, if you're new to ATVing and you bought a tandem trailer, this is what's called an equalizer. This, as the front axle, as you're being towed, or as this is being towed, rises up, what it does is it changes pivot here, and it's actually going to press down on this axle to keep this wheel on the back, or this wheel in contact. And the same thing goes, if this goes into a hole, this will be pushed up and then pushed back down in order to maintain contact on the road at all times. It hasn't been doing that. The shackles have been flipped upside down for quite a long time. This is the actual way that these are supposed to go. It's like this, and as you can see, this is this way, and it should be this way. So, not only that, the spacing between the axles has changed because this has flipped itself. So, in order to get this apart, it took some brute strength because everything was seized, basically. This is not repairable because I need to put new bushings in here, and they are just plastic bushings. If I even replace that bushing there, it's just going to be the same because it's just going to float in there, and that bushing's not going to do anything. So far, I'm in it for new shackles, hardware, mounting hardware. Looks like this on the springs. Hopefully it's not on that side too, but I got to get this side together here first. Hopefully this spring is not wallowed out, and I'm only going to be able to tell that once I get some new bushings. If the bushing goes in really loosely and just kind of flops around in there, guess what? These aren't repairable either. You're going to have to get some new springs. But this is definitely not acceptable at all. This is wallowed out really bad. And guess what? If this breaks at any point, because you've neglected it farther than what I've done, this axle will just drop to the ground. And then that's going to be a mess. You're going to ruin your trailer, ruin your ATV possibly. And, you know, if you're not hauling with a heavy enough truck, you could wreck the truck. Let's cut to the next clip when I get some parts. It'll be a couple days later because I'm going to have to get some tires and go to a trailer shop and pick up some new parts here. And my chickens are eating each other. What is going on over there? Oh, it's a pecking order. Yeah. Oh well. Parts. We got some parts. Okay. It was actually cheaper than I thought, really. I think, well, Canadian, it was under $100. I think it was like $89 for the 2 equalizers, all new mounting hardware, the new shackles. That looks, oh, and the bushings, that looks a heck of a lot better than this mess. That's part of the problem right there. Yeah, so we're going to get stuff mounted up here. You'll notice that these bolts are splined, so as you start to draw tight on the shackle, like that, on both sides, you will need to get on the back side and tap in the splined end so that it's going to seat itself inside one side of the shackle. And then you can continue to tighten your bolts to 5 ugga-duggas. I don't know the actual torque specs, but anyway. Yeah, like $11 for the... I'm sure it's made in China, but whatever. If you're shopping around for parts for, like, equalizers, there will be a kind of a universal part number here. This does say EQ310. EQ310. So... even if you don't want to take that in with you, as long as you can read it, what is on the back of my hand? As long as you can read it, you should be able to just tell the guys at the parts counter that's what you're after. And I'm sure that there are upgrade kits out there. I've seen some heavy-duty stuff or heavy-duty parts for Dexter axles and these rubber isolated mount things in there, but realistically, I didn't do anything to this trailer for 7 years. If I can get another 7 years out of less than $100 worth of parts, I think I'm okay. So, first thing I'm going to do is take that, mount it in the center, rebush the ends of the springs. The bushings literally just push in, and these are plastic, like super, super cheap plastic. But, like I said, 7 years is what I got out of the bushings, so we should be good. I'm going to get that done. Okay, so here's where it gets a little mildly frustrating. These spring shackles have to be in what they call like a W shape, so it's like down, up, down, up. So make sure that your springs are higher elevated than your equalizer when you go to assemble everything, or else what ends up happening is both these shackles, or one or the other or both, will flip upside down. And what that does is that pushes the axles farther apart, and it also doesn't allow for the proper articulation of that. I don't know if you can see it on the other side. That's how it should look. Now, when I disassembled this, I had one of these that were flipped upside down, and I didn't catch it, but anyway, regardless, it's getting all replaced now anyway, but just watch out for that. And the easiest way to do that is put a jack underneath one axle, jack it up past, because if you try to... once you have one side on, this side gets more difficult to move. So put a jack underneath the axle so that you can get it up and then back into place. So I'm just going to repeat on this side what I did on this side. Alright, well that was a bit of a struggle. Okay, what I did was I just whacked on that bolt for a good full minute with the electric impact. I actually like using the electric impact over the air ones because I think the cycle rate on that's higher. It seems to break stuff loose a little easier. So you can see that worn out bushing in there. YXZ. See that bushing in there? And the way I'm going to get that out is I'm just going to use the old bolt. Well, one of the old bolts out of the shackle. And I'm just going to tap that out of there and press in a new one. Here's the old bushing. This one's not broken. Oh, never mind, it's broken. Here's the old bushing. There's the new one. Trick, when you start these bushings, you can just tap on the edge. But because there's hollow, there's nothing in it, you don't want to mushroom it out. So best way to do that, to avoid mushrooming out, is grab one of your new bolts and stick it through. Now you got something else solid to evenly distribute the force. Tap in. New bushing. That should be a lot less banging and smashing down the road. Okay, well, suspension's done. It's going to be rinse and repeat over the other side. So I won't show that, but now we got to dig into the brakes. So, in order to get access to the brakes, we need to pop off this cover, because they're in behind this hub slash brake disc drum, brake drum, proper terminology. Try not to smash the living crap out of these little caps. Get them so that they start to separate, like so. Dust cover. Don't damage these things. They are pretty cheap, but still, you don't have to replace them. There she be. All right. Move this greasy mess. Doing stuff one-handed sucks. I got to get a little phone camera stand or something. Why'd you go and do that? You idiot. Anyway, just gonna wipe off this big chunk of grease, gob of grease, like so. This is a retaining clip. So that, with the help of a small screwdriver. But yeah, the axles on your trailer might look different. This is what's called a Dexter Easy Lube. The Easy Lube part just means that you can inject grease right here. You don't even have to take this dust cap off because a little rubber piece comes off in the end. Then you inject grease in it and it will grease the bearings from behind and pressurize the grease through it. So, anyway. Let's see if I can pop this off. There she be. So this nut is literally the only thing that holds your wheel, your hub on your wheel. Yeah, well, your wheel's attached to this, which is on your hub, which is attached to your axle. So once this is spun off, you will be able to remove this entire assembly. I'm going to spin that off. And these are conical bearings. So, which means that they are tapered this way on the front and this way in the back. So, the more pressure you have on this nut, this retaining nut, the tighter the bearings will be. So, over time, as the bearings wear, you will need to tighten this nut down a little bit. And the way to do it is tighten it down, spin the hub. If it's got too much resistance, back it off just a little bit. Then put your retaining clip on. And the retaining clip is literally the only thing that keeps this nut from spinning off. So make sure you're taking care of your gear, because this tiny piece of tin holds your wheel on, essentially. That's it. Okay, I can't do this one-handed, so I'm going to have to pull this off and make sure you grab a hold of these bearings here too. I'm going to put my hand on both sides like that and grab the bearing as I slide this off and tip it down so that I'm catching the other conical bearing there too. So, well, it does not look it on video, but I am running out of daylight. I am not going to get to that brake at all today. So I've got everything cleaned up here with compressed air and brake clean. Best as I can, I guess, without being in a very controlled environment. Okay, she's on there. So I'm going to put the dust cover back on, and on the back side, I don't know if you'll be able to see in the dark here, but there's two slots on the back side, and if you notice that part of the video, maybe I'll just put a little clip up right here. When you were looking at it, you'll see a tiny adjuster right underneath that brake pad, or the right underneath the spring, excuse me, of where the two brake pads go together. Now, what you saw in the video, it's getting towards the minimum of the brakes. I don't have brakes here, but they will pass as I saw them. I didn't measure them, but I'm well familiar with what they check and how they check. So, you know, I'll be confident in my abilities to look at that and say that that is a passable brake pad. Not going to get much more life out of them. I'm probably going to have to change them midway season, but anyway, let me get the dust cover on, and we'll go on the backside, and I'll show you how to adjust. Alright, we're going to climb in the backside here. Make sure we break our backs over the tools that we just laid on. Okay. It is dark right now. I can see better in the camera than I can right now. So, these two slots, you'll never be able to see inside of them without some light. Focus. You're going to be... They do sell a tool to get in there a little bit easier, but you can use a flat-bladed screwdriver, put it in there, and turn that little cam adjuster. Forget what one way or the other, I don't know. Depends on what side of the trailer that you're on, up or down. And that will tighten the brakes. Way to do that is turn your drum. It's free right now. You want to turn it to the point, just to the point where it won't turn, so there's a little bit of drag, then back it off a little bit, maybe 1 or 2 clicks, and make sure that it's spinning freely after that, and then you just adjusted your brakes. It is now the next day, and I got a little bit more daylight now. I'm after work, but of course now it's raining a little bit, but I'm not going to really complain about that because we absolutely need the rain. I don't know if one of the last clips I didn't actually say how these brakes work. These are an electromagnetic actuated brake system. This is the electromagnet right here. This has to be free on this little shaft. So what it does, when you hit the brakes and your brake controller sends voltage to the brakes, it energizes this electromagnet, which on the inside of your drum rides very closely to this part of the disc, or this part of the drum itself, drum hub assembly. What happens when you hit the brakes, that electromagnet will start to stick to this magnet, or excuse me, to this drum. As that magnet is sticking to the drum, it is actually being drug by the rotation of the drum, which in fact actuates your brake. So the more voltage you have to this, the harder it pulls against this drum. Ergo, the harder the brake control is being applied. So before I put my new Westlake tires on, don't knock me on the tire brand. They're as Chinese can get, but it's hard to find trailer tires that are not made in Chinese or China. Well, the last thing besides the lights, really, on the trailer that we got to check for regular maintenance or for inspection maintenance, depending on if your state or province has them, is the breakaway switch. So again, if you're kind of new to ATVs and side-by-sides and you have a tandem trailer or a trailer in general that has trailer brakes, you're going to see something called a breakaway switch. And it's a cable that attaches to your truck, which goes into this little switch here, and all this is just a breaker switch. Inside that little black box you'll find a battery, just a small 12-volt battery. And its job is to, in the event of a trailer breakaway comes off your truck, and your chains fail to catch it, and it's rolling down the freeway or highway or whatever, it's rolling down the road, its job is to put power to all 4 of your brakes, or 2 of your brakes, or whatever your setup is for your trailer. So you'll see now, both hubs spin free, and if I go over here, simulate a breakaway, I should have a lockup. Okay, well, they can still spin a little bit, but the point is to slow the trailer down to a stop. So we know the battery is putting power to the brakes. And I'm going to just go back here. And they spin free again. Spin free again. So there you have it. We covered, other than breaking the jacks down in order to fix the stiff jacks that I was experiencing and any electrical issues that we might end up doing. Suspension, bushings, brake service, and we got new tires. So I hope this video was helpful to some people. And oh, make sure you check the frame too. Make sure no cracks or anything like that along the frame. This is all galvanized steel, so I'm going to have to go and look for cracks. I did find one right here. You can see it. That weld for this fender let go. So I got to fix that. And over here where my ramps are, I found a cracked weld right here. You can kind of see it right here. There's a bar that goes across here that just helps support the end of the ramps when it's in transport. And you can see if I push down on it, focus, if I push down on it, it separates a little bit. So that needs to be fixed. So anyway, again, I hope this video helps some people out when it comes to maintenance of your trailer, because to get on the trail, you have to get to the trail. So thanks for joining me on this. Hope it helps somebody, and we'll see you in the next run. Rye Guy out.